Lifers and loved ones, welcome back to the channel. The love is real and the energy is high. Thank you so much for watching. As always, we're going to get right into the topic without delay. You know, this is being made from my heart. This is not just about you, it's about me. The topic for discussion for this video is going to be shame. All right, the shame and just the fear of judgment once you've entered into a toxic and narcissistic relationship as you're looking to make your way out. As I was on my journey, you know, to heal and to learn and to grow and to get understanding about what it was that I was going through, one thing that I noticed now looking back in hindsight, while I found a lot of informative, valuable, solid content on the topic of narcissism, this mindset, this disorder, this condition, you know, however you choose to see it, what I didn't come across was a lot of content that talks about the shame that's associated with it. All right. So I want to discuss that today. I want to share myself. Thank you so much for giving me a space and an opportunity to be able to be myself and share myself in a way that's positive and in a way that's healthy, in hopes of serving others and using the things that I've gone through to help someone else. And I'm not telling you what I think, I'm telling you what I know based on my experience as always. I want to preface my comments by saying, I am not a clinical professional. I am not a psychoanalyst. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm none of those things. I'm just a woman who is speaking from her own personal experience and sharing of herself. This video isn't designed to trigger or harm anyone. This isn't about division, separation, competition, none of those. Whether you are man, woman, young, old, regardless of your socioeconomic background, your belief systems, your upbringing, where you're from, your nationality, none of those things are important because anyone can be impacted by, you know, this condition, this disorder, this mindset. You know, we deal with narcissism in the workplace. I've dealt with it and had to navigate that. We deal with it within our families. You know, we may have narcissistic parents for reasons beyond what we can understand. Sometimes our children end up being of a narcissistic personality disorder or mindset. All right. It can be close relatives, siblings, platonic friends, whatever the case may be. This isn't just about, you know, romantic or sexual or physical connections. Because of the power of the internet and social media, it's being brought, you know, to the forefront so much more than it's ever been. But I venture to think if you were to take the time to take inventory and reflect on your life experiences, depending on where you are, it's very highly likely that if you're not a narcissist or toxic person yourself, you've come in contact with somebody who was. You just may not have understood it for what it was at the time. And that was my experience, but this isn't just about me. All right, so we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about the shame today. I would urge you, you know, to like and comment. It does so much to push the content forward, and also, you know, to show the algorithm that there's value in this content. So I would ask, even if it's just an emoji, it doesn't necessarily need to be all the details, but share of yourself, share your testimony. It helps other people, right? And because we're pushing this content out, it's going to reach people that need it. So definitely do take a few moments of your time, just a few moments, just to make a brief comment. And again, if you want to share of yourself, if you want to give, you know, your testimony, if you want to give your experience, we urge you to do so. Again, it's about community. And when we share of each other, it allows us to release that. And it's therapeutic, but it also helps other people and pushes the content out. And I appreciate that just as the creator, because a lot goes into this. All right. So thank you so much. So what I want to say first and foremost is there is going to be shame associated with what you go through. You know, and again, I'm not telling you what I think, I'm telling you what I know based on my experience, and I'm not looking to project onto anyone, but, you know, let me know. I don't want to feel like, you know, a woman that's out on the island by herself. I'm giving you real. I'm giving you vulnerability in this video. I'm giving you authenticity because I think that's important as someone who's looking to connect with you, is to tell my truth as much as I can. I typically look to remain vague, you know, just to protect other parties involved and just to protect myself. But as time goes on, I'll continue to share more and more. But I will give you glimpses of my experience within the content, just so you understand you're not alone and you're not the only one that has had this experience or is going through it. But we can use the things that we go through just as God does for us. He uses everything for our good. We can use what it is that we go through to make our lives better and to make other people's lives better. All right. So now that we got all the pleasantries out of the way, shame. You're going to experience shame. You're going to experience feeling alone. It's going to feel like other people around you cannot relate. You're going to feel like it's hard to find community. You're going to find that, you know, other people don't believe you. You know, other people, you know, family members, friends, whatever the case may be, associates, acquaintances, they're not going to be able to relate because either they're not tapped into that part of themselves who have possibly come in contact with a narcissist. They could be a narcissist, or they're just looking at it like they're kind of just brushing you off. You know what I mean? They're not in alignment with that. And maybe they just haven't been impacted by it as of yet. And hopefully they don't. You know, we're not wishing that on anyone. But I want to say it's completely natural to feel alone. It's completely natural to feel like you can't find community, or you can't find anyone who, you know, can offer you sympathy or consideration or understanding about what you went through. You know, there is a level of shame that's associated with it. I've mentioned it before in past videos that I've battled with, and I'm doing much better about it, you know, and I'm comfortable to share and talk about it. But I've battled with feeling like I betrayed myself. You know, I've struggled with, you know, feeling regret and feeling hurt about the fact that I allowed myself to be in that position. But what I know now, looking back on the situation, was there were a lot of different things that I was dealing with that I hadn't necessarily even come to terms with. You know, I definitely had gone through, you know, a bad breakup around that time. And then also I lost someone who meant a lot to me, and I hadn't properly grieved that or even processed it. I have a tendency of being the kind of person who, you know, is very go, go, go. I'm very goal oriented and very driven. And I focus so much on the end result and on the goal that sometimes I don't give myself an opportunity to feel or to process or to be still. So I'll give you an example. Like, I'm the type of person, if I'm lifting something, if I'm working out, or if I'm, you know, doing chores around the house and I kind of hurt myself, like, I'll acknowledge it for a moment, but then I'll move right past it. And then 2 or 3 days later, when I got a bruise on my leg or something, I'm looking and thinking to myself, how did I even do that? Like, I'm kind of just go, go, go. Right? I don't give myself time to process. So I feel like between the things that I was going through in my life at the time when I came in contact with the toxic person in my life, there were things that I hadn't given myself time to process. I was a little bit vulnerable, and I had voids within me that I didn't address. The mature me can look back on my situation without playing a victim, and while holding myself accountable, I can say that. I can look back on the situation knowing now exactly how I got there. And how I got there was I hadn't given myself time to process the things that were going on in my life that were pivotal. And I almost used the connection with someone, like I because I didn't take the time to, you know, come to terms with what I was dealing with. It's like I ran right into something that was negative for me, that my higher self, the person that I am now, that could never happen now. I'm way too connected. I'm way too in touch. You know, I'm more spiritually, you know, tapped in than I've ever been. I'm healthier, mind, body, and spirit. But I wasn't in that place back then. And in a sense, what I went through has become a blessing to me, because now I can say the things that I went through inspired me to do better. You know, they inspired me to be a higher, better version of myself. So in a sense, as dark as that time was, it's hard for me to regret it, because it made me such a better individual, and it really caused me to wake up. Like, it really caused me to snap out of it. It really caused me to get connected with myself, to reconnect with the God that I serve, so that I would understand that He isn't condemning me, and that as long as I keep God at the center of what I do, we can attack the world together, as opposed to me feeling like I have to do it on my own. That's one of the biggest lessons that I learned. Always, you know, keep God at the center of what you do, and that God does not look at us for our mistakes. Because we fear rejection of Him, we try to separate ourselves from our Creator, because we know that we made some bad decisions somewhere along the lines, right? Like, we didn't make the most sound decision. We didn't have our boundaries in place. And because of that, we allow the things that we go through and the mistakes that we make, or any sin that we may commit sometimes, to keep us separate from what we believe in, when really that's the time when we should lean more into Him, because the God that we serve doesn't condemn us. Again, He doesn't see us for our mistakes. God sees greatness in you. He sees greatness in you. He sees greatness in me because God lives inside of me. The Holy Spirit is alive and well inside of me. So as a result of that, now I look at the things that I may struggle with and battle with, and I enlist the Holy Spirit. I acknowledge the God that lives inside of me, and I look to tap into that through prayer, fasting, meditation, forgiveness of myself and others. And I channel that energy to get through what my struggles are, as opposed to, you know, looking to try to deal with everything on my own. We're not meant to be alone. We're not designed to be alone in the physical, And we're not designed to tackle the world alone in the spiritual. We're not designed for that. And this is, again, is based on my life experience and whatever it is that you believe, respectfully, Again, this isn't about separation or condemnation. I'm sharing, my experiences and hope that we can connect with one another, and just to give you more insight into me as we continue to grow, as the platform continues to grow. I want you all to have more and more of an insight into who I am as a creator, and who I am as a woman, and who I am as a human. This isn't about perfection. It's about progress. All right. So just looking to attack the things of this life with what I believe spiritually and my spiritual energy, as opposed to doing it on my own. That is what allows us to get through. That's what allows us to get through. That's one of the biggest lessons that I learned through this. So I could never regret it, because it woke me up and it lit a fire under me. It made me passionate again. It made me love myself more. It made me see the value in myself more. It put me better in a position to be of service to people, to be a vessel, to be used in a way that's healthy. That's what this platform is about. It isn't about notoriety. It isn't about internet fame. It isn't about views. It isn't about that. It's about using what we go through to help each other, and so that we can learn. And I'm here to learn too. I'm always ready to be wrong. I am a humble, obedient child, but I'm also firm and strong with wisdom, discernment, and my boundaries set in place. That's what going through a situation with a toxic or narcissistic person gave me. That's the gift that it gave me. Use everything for your good. We don't play victim. We don't play victim. It takes away our power and takes away our ability to do better about the choices that we make. We are not our mistakes. You are not your mistake. You are not your sin. You are not your lack of judgment. Those are opportunities for you to do better, and you'll make the determination how you can heal and continue to go about that, and how you can do that. Right. But there are going to be lonely times. It is going to be difficult. And again, that's one of the things that I've struggled with the most. Comment down below, share your testimony. Let me know if you've experienced that too. If you struggle with the shame that you feel because you allowed yourself to be in that position, you found yourself wondering, like, how did this happen? How did I get here? I allowed myself to become numb. That's how I did it. And to me, as I've said before on the platform, anything can be a drug, anything. And in a sense, I use that toxic relationship to like escape as a form of distraction. But it was a negative distraction. And, by the grace of God, I was able to make my way out of that, intact. But it was a struggle and it was a fight. And there are some residual effects of that. I can acknowledge that too. But it hasn't gotten me down. It hasn't defeated me. If anything, it's made me better. And I'm grateful for that. And because of that, I'm able to be here for you. And I thank you all for listening and just for being here. And I'm here for you as well. Right. So I wanted to make this video because I wanted to make it clear that it's normal to feel that shame. And I don't see a lot of content creators talk about that shame or acknowledge that shame. And I wanted to be sure that I could bring that to the platform. I wanted to have that conversation. I want to open up that discussion. So I definitely want to hear from you, and let's, allow each other to feel seen and feel heard about the things that we've gone through. We make a lot of mistakes. I can acknowledge that, I put myself in position for that to happen because of the choices that I made, and the red flags were there. There were certain statements that were said that I didn't quite understand what I was hearing at the time, but something in my intuition was telling me that this isn't right. And as time went on, it became more and more clear that this wasn't a healthy situation for me. But I can say, looking back on the situation now, that the warning signs were there. The warning signs were there. But because I was so numb and I was so disconnected from my higher self and my spiritual self, and I was lacking like that self-love that I needed, I went looking elsewhere for that instead of looking internally for it. Instead of praying about it, instead of fasting about it, instead of meditating about it, instead of being still about it, instead of asking God, to bring me healing and to give me the strength that I needed, I chose to look outward. I chose to look into the world to be soothed, and I got a worldly end result. When we take worldly action, we get a worldly end result. And that's exactly what happened. Again, this isn't about judgment, because I'm you and you're me, but that's where a lot of that shame comes from. Just the fact that, once you find yourself in that negative situation, sometimes we can't find a way out and we end up blaming ourselves, and that can become a dark place. It's one thing when the outside world is hard on you, but it's another thing entirely when you become hard on yourself. You know, I always say, like, I'm my own harshest critic. Like, I'm harder on me than God is on me. Like, nobody can get me together like I can get me together. And while self accountability is important for growth, you also have to be kind to yourself too. You know, you also have to be loving to yourself too. That's important, to give yourself that love that you need and not look for confirmation or validation in others, but to be able to find that within yourself because of the God that lives inside of you, because of your spiritual gifts, because of your beauty, because of your intuition, because of your willingness to help, your willingness to be there for others, you know, your willingness to want to heal others and to do for others. You have to find your beauty in that and find your confidence in that and find your worth in that instead of looking for it in human beings. You know, human beings will let you down every time. Even me, I'm an extremely flawed individual. I make mistakes all the time. I'm not perfect, but I'm more in a position to acknowledge those flaws. And I will come to you like a woman, look you in your eyes and apologize when I make a mistake. Like, I'm not beyond that. I'm not beyond that at all. And I don't feel myself more valid or worthy than anyone else. We all have a contribution to make. We all have value within us. And I just want to, again, continue to create a space where we can feel seen and feel heard without being judged about the things that we've gone through. But we also have to hold ourselves accountable and say somewhere along the lines, you know, we made some poor choices or we didn't exercise sound judgment, which is how we ended up with the toxic or narcissistic person. The toxic person I was with isn't unique. The toxic person that you're with isn't unique. The toxic ex that you have isn't unique. You're not. 3 cycles: love bomb, devaluation, and discard. All right. 9.75 out of 10 narcissists, they all participate in that. You know, they at their core, very similar. Again, no narc is created equal. No toxic person is created equal. Like, I get all that. But there are some things that are going to remain true in those situations. Them having extracurricular, like outside sources of supply, is always going to be a truth. Grade A, main, back burner, temporary, you know, local, whatever the case may be, whatever you want to call them. They all have a supply garage. Like, they all have shelves. They all buy, sell, and trade people. You know, that's what they do. But I want to talk about, you know, the shame that you feel when it's time for you to ask for help. You know, sometimes we feel so shameful about the situation that we find ourselves in that we're unwilling to ask for help. I think one of the strongest things that a person can do is to humble themselves enough to ask someone else for help. That's one of the biggest things that we can do, in my opinion. And that's something that, you know, as a woman, that I've always struggled with, you know, swallowing my pride enough to be able to ask for help through, again, prayer and correction and life experience. I've learned to do that more and more. I do that here. That's a part of what this is. This is therapeutic for me. Being strong enough to ask for help is extremely important, and it's overlooked. And it's not something that, like I said, I find commonly, you know, talked about. But it's important. What better way, you know, of holding yourself accountable than to share what you've gone through in hopes of reaching someone else? You know, there's going to be different people in different stages of their relationships and connections with toxic people who find this video. Some have already made their way out. Some are in the process of rebuilding. Some are just in their gray rock phase where they haven't been able to make their way into no contact yet. Some people are actually in no contact now, and they're in that wilderness season. That's important. They're in that wilderness season where they have cut off all communication, no contact, blocked, making sure that they're staying away from flying monkeys, shut down all social media. They're in that wilderness. They're not frequenting the places that they used to go. They don't shop at the same place. They don't work out at the same place. They don't hang out at the same places. They're staying away from people that they had in common. Like, so there's people in different phases of this. Drop it down in the comment section and let me know. You know, you don't necessarily, again, have to give all the details, but let me know where you are in the phase of your connection with your toxic or narcissistic person, whether you're just now realizing that you came out of a love bomb phase and now you're in devaluation. Let me know if you've been discarded. Let me know if you've gone through the cycles more than once. Let me know if you're in the gray rock phase or if you're in no contact. Please share that down in the comment section. I'm extremely interested to know where you are. Me, myself, personally, I'm, you know, years no contact now, you know, and it does get easier. That's one thing I also want to, you know, make mention of in this video. It does get easier. You find healthier ways to cope. You find healthier ways to cope. But I want you all to be sure to love on yourselves and don't allow that shame that you feel to keep you in a negative situation, because that's also a trap. You know, shame is more of a mindset than it is an actual reality. Again, sometimes shame is manifested in the pride that you feel, which prevents you from asking for help. Sometimes the shame that we feel manifests itself in a form of fear. You know, fear of being rejected, fear of being ridiculed, embarrassment. Sometimes the shame that we feel comes out and manifests itself as outright embarrassment. You know, you might be one of the people in your family or in your circle of friends who's always tended to have it together. You know, you have yourself together financially. You're professional. You have a career. You're successful. You have your own place. You have your own vehicles. Like, you run your own life, but then you somehow found yourself vulnerable and in a situation that was toxic and unhealthy for you. Allow yourself to be human. Allow yourself to be human. Allow yourself to be human. It's one of the first steps in healing. You know, taking accountability, but also being gentle and being kind with yourself, and better using that energy as opposed to shaming yourself and condemning yourself, using that energy to get better, you know, and then in turn, you will have the gift once you begin your healing process of using what you've gone through to help someone else. And I will also say that this situation made me stronger, not just when it comes to personal relationships, but in other areas of my life. It's increased my confidence and made me stronger. It made me more durable. It made me more loving. It made me more forgiving, which leads me into my next point. You know, once you're able to get over the shame and you're able to forgive yourself and you're able to begin to move on and find the worth within yourself, and you are able to hear your own voice again, and you begin to feel yourself, like the food you like start to taste good again, and the music that you enjoyed makes you want to move your body again, and you want to read books, and you want to hang out, you want to get out into the sun, you want to live life. Once you begin to feel that again, it's a beautiful thing. And you'll come to see that you're not allowing the situation that you went through to make you bitter. All right. I believe in that pivotal point where the abused can become the abuser. Some people's experiences causes them to get bitter and to get dark and to get negative, but you didn't do that. That's where you were different. That's where I was different. I didn't allow what I went through to make me bitter, but in turn, I gave it to God. I gave it to the universe. I gave it to my creator. I asked for forgiveness. I've forgiven myself. There is power in being able to forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. That's important. All right. Release that shame, and it'll exponentially speed up your healing process when you're able to forgive yourself. But, you know, it's one of those easier said than done things. And I can speak to that from a place of intelligence and experience because I've gone through it. Like I like to say, give yourself the grace that you look to give others. Give yourself the patience that you give others. Give yourself the love that you've been giving to others. Allow yourself to be human. Acknowledge that shame, embrace that shame, and release it. And release that shame. And use that energy to become the best version of yourself possible. They want to finish you. If you don't find a way to release that shame and let down your pride and to love on yourself, allow yourself to cry if that's what you need to do. Separate yourself from certain energy and individuals so that you can heal if that's what you need to do. Spend some time on your own if that's what you need to do. Reconnect with your creator, your belief system, your tenets, your constitution, what governs you, the God that you serve if that's what you need to do. Meditate if that's what you need to do. Hit the gym if that's what you need to do. Rest your nerves if that's what you need to do. Take a sabbatical and a self trip and travel if that's whatever you need to do. Channel that energy and release that shame, because if you don't, a part of you stays with them. A part of you stays with them if you don't find a way to release that shame. I'm grateful that I was inspired to make this video because, again, it's not something that's commonly discussed, the shame that you feel and where to put it and what to do with that. But allow the situation that you've gone through to make you a better version of yourself, the same way that God uses the things that we go through for our good, for those of us who truly love and trust him. That's my belief system. That's my life experience. There's no way I could have made it out without my creator and without my beliefs. There's just no way. Not with the light and the love that I still have inside of me. Even with the residual effects of what I went through, I haven't allowed it to make me bitter and made me cold-hearted. You know, I'm definitely still warm and I definitely still have heart. But I'm also wise and I'm firm and I'm strong and I'm discerning. And I'm ready to stand up for myself without putting someone else down or without belittling someone, which is a part of the reason why I choose to remain vague while, you know, looking to do my best while sharing in these videos, because I'm going to be respectful no matter what. When we find ourselves in situations with narcissists or toxic people, it can change us for the negative sometimes. And I don't want that. I don't want a piece of me to stay with them, because that means, in a sense, that they won. And I can't give them the victory when God already gave me the victory when he sacrificed his only begotten son for me. I can't give them the victory. I can't allow that. I can't give them the victory. I've fought too much. I've grown too much. You know, I've seen too much and spent too much time investing in myself to allow a piece of me to stay with them, to allow them to have that sense of control over me. Be strong. Like I said, men, women, young, old, no matter your orientation, how you date, how you present, what you love, the type of relationship, it doesn't matter. It's never too late to make a positive change. It's never too late to rebuke and release that shame. It's never too late. And I also, you know, like to say, be mindful and discerning again and wise about with whom you share your business. You know, if you have a trusted confidant of longevity, definitely, you know, reach out for counsel. Reach out for counsel. Again, we weren't made to be alone. We don't have to tackle and handle everything on your own. Be your own advocate. Ask for help if you need it. Reach out. There are resources available. Don't hesitate. If there's anything I can do to help within reason, you know, within what my energy can handle, hit me up. You know, send me an email to askbizlifestyle@gmail.com. That's askbizlifestyle@gmail.com. You know, I'm here. We are in this together. And I truly mean that when I say it. And I'm here to serve if it is within my energy to do so. If you do so and you reach out to me respectfully with good intentions and I can feel that of you, I'll respond to you. Worthy XIIXII on Instagram, all lowercase letters. Worthy XIIXII on Instagram. Reach out to me. Don't hesitate to do that. But keep in mind, I'm only one person. You know what I mean? I'm only one person. Check out the Healing and Understanding playlist on my channel for context. This might be, you know, the very first video that you've come across of mine. Check out the Healing and Understanding playlist, as well as the other content on the channel, you know, just for context and for understanding, because I also want it to be understood that the fact that you found yourself in a toxic or narcissistic relationship is not all that you are. It may be a major focus of your life because it kind of feels like it came out of nowhere and it changed the trajectory of your life. And it's had such a big impact on you, but it's your responsibility to do the very best you can with what is left of you and to build and to come back a better version of yourself. And this experience is not all that we are. It does not define you. The fact that you found yourself in a narcissistic relationship does not define you. The fact that you found yourself in a relationship or a connection, addictionship, situationship, whatever the case it is, an encounter with a toxic person does not define you. You are not your mistakes. And I just want to say that outwardly. You know, I want you to listen to this while you're driving in your car. Listen to this after you drop your kids off. Listen to this while you're folding clothes. Listen to this while you're on the treadmill. Listen to this while you're winding down from work. Like, understand, you are not your mistakes. You are a worthy individual and your feelings are valid. We make mistakes, but it's our responsibility to do better with our experiences so that we can grow. You know, in order to grow, there has to be resistance. Everything in life is about balance. We don't always understand the things that happen or why they happen, but we don't question what good things happen to us. So we're not going to play the victim when life comes at us fast. We have to accept that it's a part of a journey, but we also made certain key decisions to find ourselves in that situation. And it's important that we are able to readily identify that so that we can break a cycle and break that pattern. And fortunately, we have platforms such as this one that allows us to share information with one another so that we can be heard and be seen. So share of yourself down in the comment section. Don't suffer in silence. I want to hear from you, and you'll definitely hear from me. I appreciate you. It has been a pleasure. Release that shame that you feel. You have a part to play in it, but this isn't about blame. This isn't about blaming yourself. It's a test. It's a test, and you're fully capable of overcoming. And I salute those of you who've accepted that challenge and who are currently on that journey towards no contact and moving forward with their lives for the better. And those who are going to pursue, that love that they deserve, who are going to pursue those goals that they had before they came in contact with this narcissistic person, that are going to see through that degree that they wanted, that are going to purchase that home that they've been wanting to purchase, that they're going to be the best version of themselves for their parents, for their families, for their children, for their loved ones, for their friends. I salute and acknowledge those people who want to be the change that they want to see in this world. And it's important that we love ourselves enough and love others enough, even through the things that we go through. Shame is a form of manipulation. It's a tool that toxic and narcissistic people use. It's a mindset that we're left with when we're at our lowest. If you're feeling shame, that just means that right now your energy is low, but that shame is not real. And a lot of times that's a self-fulfilling prophecy. That shame that you feel, that's energy that you're projecting onto yourself. The narcissist or toxic person does not have power over you. The only power that they could possibly have is the power that you give them. That's it. I'm not telling you what I think. I'm telling you what I know. I'm someone who has gone through it and came out a better woman on the other side of that situation. The only power that that toxic person has over you is the power that you give them. They wish they were capable of loving the way you do. They wish that they were capable of overcoming the way that you do. They wish that they were capable of accountability the way that you are. They wish that they had the ability to commit and to go the distance and to go deeper and be vulnerable and give of themselves with someone. They wish that they had the power of vulnerability. They're insecure, fragile people, which is why they do what they do. They're really fear-based individuals. And the more that you heal, the more you'll begin to see that. And the easier it'll be to release that shame. Do not allow them to project their fear and their lack of empathy and consideration and love for others onto you in the form of shame. It was a mistake that you made, but you are not your mistake. Take your time, reflect, and please, I implore you and I urge you, do not allow this situation to block your future blessing, block future love, future success, future healthy connections because of this. Again, a piece of you stays with them if you allow that. Do not allow this situation to change you for the worse and dim your light and take away your ability to be healthy and to be happy. Make a 180. Not a 360, make a 180 and use what you've gone through for your good. I believe in you. So you be sure to do the same. Until we meet again. Don't forget what we talked about. It's Biz Lifestyle.